Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Thank you so much for joining us for another segment of Health Professional Radio. Did you know that about 2.8 million adults in the United States are living with schizophrenia? It's a serious and complex mental illness that, if left untreated, can disrupt a person's relationships, physical health, and plans for the future. And it may even lead to repeated cycles of crisis with recurrent episodes. But there is hope for people who have schizophrenia to lead a normal life with the right support and treatment. Joining us now to discuss the importance of managing schizophrenia is Jonathan Llamas, a certified psychiatric mental health nurse, practitioner, and doctor of nursing practice. Welcome to Health Professional Radio, Jonathan Llamas.
Thank you so much for having me, Neil.
Tell us a bit about schizophrenia, what your experience has been working with patients who are living with this condition.
Of course. So for many of us who may not be familiar with what schizophrenia is a very complex and chronic brain disorder in which, like you mentioned, affects currently about 2.8 million adults living in the United States today. And schizophrenia is actually characterized by distortions in the way that people think, in the way that people behave, as well as the way that they perceive the world around them. Now, as a psychiatric nurse practitioner, I do work closely one-on-one with adults who are struggling with schizophrenia. And the one thing that I want to share with you is the fact that everyone's going to manifest their symptoms differently depending on the severity of the symptoms as well as their own unique circumstance. And when people think about schizophrenia, they may think about the things that they may see in popular culture or the things that they may have seen through television or in the movies, but that's not necessarily true or even accurate. With that being said, I'm very excited today to be partnering with Janssen Pharmaceuticals to hopefully discuss some of the treatment options that we currently have available to help people who are struggling with schizophrenia help better manage their symptoms on a daily basis.
Well, what are some of the challenges that adults living with schizophrenia face? How do they need help?
So due to the fact that schizophrenia is a very complex disorder, if their symptoms are left untreated, like you mentioned earlier, it can cause cycles of disruptions in the patient's ability to not only take care of themselves, but also in their ability to maintain positive and healthy relationships, as well as their ability to just function simply on a day-by-day basis, as well as plan for the future. Now, since schizophrenia is still a very widely misunderstood disorder, and because of the fact there's still so much stigma surrounding that, another challenge is that people who are struggling with schizophrenia are afraid to seek out help. Maybe they're afraid to be labeled as schizophrenic, or they're afraid that you're going to be misjudged. And so just a difficulty of finding help, and then when they do find help, just trying to find the right treatment option for them. So as a healthcare provider, it's very important for us to be able to have these one-on-one conversations with them to discuss some of the treatment options that are available to them, because only with treatment can their symptoms be much more manageable.
Are there a wide range of treatment options available?
So in terms of treatment options that we currently have, typically for someone who is struggling with schizophrenia, we would initially start them on oral antipsychotic medications. And while oral antipsychotic medications can be helpful and beneficial, one of the biggest downsides of oral antipsychotics is the fact that you would have to take them on a daily basis. Now, I don't know about you, but taking medications every day, sometimes we tend to forget. But you can imagine for people who are struggling with schizophrenia, it can make it much more challenging for them to remember to take their medications on a consistent basis. So one of the best things that we have as a treatment alternative to help counteract that is what we like to call long-acting injectables, or LAIs for short. And an example of long-acting injectables would be the Janssen LAI portfolio, which includes Invega Sustenna, which is a long-acting injectable that you can take on a monthly basis. They also have Invega Trinza, which is a long-acting injectable that can be taken every 3 months. And the newest one, Invega Hafyera, which can be taken actually every 6 months. The really interesting and cool thing about Invega Hafyera is the fact that there was a recent open-label study that was done, and it found that 96.1% of patients who actually took Invega Hafyera remained relapse-free, which is, in my opinion, very, very promising, especially for patients who are having difficulty remembering to take their medications on a consistent basis. So with that being said, however, obviously with all medications, there's always going to be risks and benefits associated with that. So if anyone who's out there that is listening is interested in learning about long-acting injectables, I would definitely recommend that they speak to their healthcare provider and see if this is a good option for them.
Are there any parting thoughts that you'd like to give us, and then give us a website where our listeners can learn more?
Of course. Well, if there's anyone out there that is listening, I kind of want to just hopefully share with you that there is hope for you and that there is support and treatment available for you as well to help you better manage your symptoms. So if anyone is interested to learn more, I would definitely encourage them to visit the website, JanssenSchizophreniaInjections.com, to learn a little bit more about LAIs. And I would definitely encourage you to speak to your local healthcare provider, your psychiatric nurse practitioner, or your psychiatrist to determine whether or not a long-acting injectable would be a right treatment choice for you.
Jonathan, I appreciate your time this morning on Health Professional Radio. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard, in conversation with Jonathan Llamas. Audio copies of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Health Professional Radio.